All right, my friends, here are four big stories for today. So, the first one I haven't seen before, but I've seen it in different forms. So, Russian propaganda is trying to convince Italians that Western weapons are getting into the hands of the mob. Now, this first iteration came out with Americans, said it was going to Al Qaeda and ISIS and those kind of things. And I've seen that happen with the British and the French, the same kind of thing where Russian propaganda is trying to say something similar. But this is the first time I've seen the Italians being targeted by Russian propaganda. If they're targeting the Italians, it seems like Putin thinks that whoever's in charge, not necessarily just Putin, but things like that, the Italians may be able to be pushed over into the column with the Slovaks and the Hungarians. Okay, big story number two. John Kirby was talking about how yesterday, when Benjamin Netanyahu spoke before a joint session of the U.S. Congress, there were protesters in Washington. He was talking about how these protests were underwritten by Iran. Now, that's important because of Jay and Kiev just talking about how, look, by the U.S. not seriously arming and helping Ukraine in a timely manner, what we did was accidentally allow Putin to have the ability to unite all these dictators, Iran and Russia and North Korea and to some degree China and Syria and that sort of thing. I think that's exactly right. Big story number three. So the Wall Street Journal, I only saw the beginning of the article. I didn't see the rest of it. So I can't comment on the peace plan. But apparently, according to, I think it was Anton Gerashenko, Russian mill bloggers and Russians are going nuts about a proposed Trump peace plan written by Mike Pompeo. Mike Pompeo was a former Secretary of State. This is not the same as previous iterations of this, so I have to read more about it before, but that's a positive sign if the Russians are flipping out about it. Big story number four. So let's talk about what's going on in U.S. politics. Barack and Michelle Obama just endorsed Kamala Harris. I think, okay, so I'm a Republican. I'm not voting for Trump. As if I was a Republican who wanted Trump to win, I would say this is great because I think she's weaker than what would happen if it went to an open convention and selected her, or weaker than if it went to an open convention and selected someone else. Now, I'm not saying that because I'm not trying to take her down. I'm just trying to analyze this. So they endorse Kamala Harris. Now, at the same time, Frank Luntz, who's a Republican pollster, also not a big fan of Trump, said that he sees that Mark Kelly is the front runner. This guy is really well connected in politics, and so okay. And then with that, Ben Shapiro was talking about J.D. Vance, talking about if you had a time machine and you could go back 2 weeks, we would not have chosen. And again, Ben Shapiro is very conservative, not have chosen J.D. Vance. And it appears that Republicans across the board are very unhappy with J.D. Vance. I even saw a Newsweek article that was talking about how they were thinking about replacing Vance with Haley. I don't know how that happens. I think that's just speculation. But apparently the Republicans are feeling the pinch of Biden dropping out. So that's where we are today. Those are the four big stories. Thank you for your time. Thank you for the likes, the shares, the subscribes, and thank you for being the kind of person that cares about Ukraine.